today continue our class Shabbat Kitchen. Today's class number 13. And we start with Sefer Chofetz Chaim. And big topic is the same, tell us for subject's benefit. Okay. Today's topic, avoiding flattery. Even when there is a even if there is a permissible to speak negatively for a constructive purpose, one must avoid insincere flattery. Okay, insincere flattery. Okay, it is forbidden to be critical of someone when he is not present, yet to demonstrate approval of his behavior in his presence. So that's what we call hypocrite, right? Flattery. If the concern is that the persons feel like not heard, then the solution is to express respect and concern for him as a person, but clear disapproval as his behavior. So, okay, so you don't want to offend him, so you just not approve of his behavior. That's a usually proper way, because people can change if they want to. Meaning, if they change, people are the same, but they change their behavior. Okay, so we're trying always to separate. So we rebuke not person per se, but his behavior. If one is certain that reproof will be ignored, and is therefore prepared to publicize the person's behavior as an attempt to induce him to change his ways, one must nevertheless approach the sinner first, so as not to be suspected of insincerity. It's very interesting. So let's read one more time. If one is certain that the reproof will be ignored, right? So, okay, you know this person, and is therefore prepared to publicize the person's behavior as an attempt to induce him to change his behavior. One must nevertheless approach the sinner first as not to be suspected of insincerity. Okay. So anyway, I mean, he's going to listen, not going to listen. How do you know? As Rabbi Reuven Shlit always say, maybe that time 5 months ago, 3 months ago, he was not ready to listen. Now HaShem a little softened him up, right, with all the problems. Now he's a little more open to hear you. So even to say the same things that you said 3 months ago, 5 months ago, 3 years ago, right? So you never know. In the above case, where it is clear that a person will not be moved to rebuke, by rebuke, one can remove the need for the first speaking to him by dispelling any possible possible suspicions concerning one's own sincerity. For example, if one speaks against the perpetrator in public, in the presence of three, rather than speaking to individual members of the community in private, it becomes clear that all the speakers could not be in private. It becomes clear to all that the speaker could not be attempted to gain favor with the perpetrator by showing acceptance of his behavior. So basically, when we speak in front of three people, we show that we understand that this information is going to get public. So if it's going to get public, so this this person is going to find out about whom this person is talking. So he's going to find out, and basically, so now you can flatter him as much as you want. It's not going to help. He knows exactly what you talk about him behind his back and publicly. Similarly, if the speaker is known to be zealous and outspoken and would not be suspected of flattery, he could resort to private discussions. Meaning if it's very, very upright person, right? Everybody know, like, do I know such a person? I don't know. That everybody would respect, and like everybody. No, I don't know such person. I don't know. Okay. But let's say that there is such a person, right? That there's always like enemies, like everybody. Like many people have enemies, let's say, right? So if this person does not have enemies, and everybody would respect him and his opinion, and he's zealous and outspoken, okay, nobody would suspect him of flattery, right? Okay, he could resort to private discussion. So he's not obligated to speak in front of 3 people. So one more time, when we speak about in front of 3 people, we show that that's okay. We know the consequences, basically. Also, if it is clear that to all that the perpetrator is a difficult personality, and public criticizing his behavior could be dangerous. I mean, he's going to take a baseball bat and smash somebody's head, right? So then one may speak against him in private without fear of personal suspicion. Okay, so now it's one-to-one, basically. It's one of the exceptions, because person on one hand he has obligated to speak out because of what the sins that this person did. On another hand, he's not obligated to risk his life. Okay, we stop here. Okay, so we continue with Shabbat Kitchen. Of course, we're on the same melacha, which is sorting. And let's say there's 5 things. So let's we're on thing number 5. Well, let me just see what the topic is. So it's section C. And the topic is selected for immediate use. So basically, before that, we said that three conditions must be met, right? First of all, food from the waste. Waste, we said whatever we don't want it, we call waste. And food is also not only food, but it could be other things. Like we said, example is the cutlery, right? Second condition, by hand, meaning no special instrument. And we said, for example, fork or spoon is not a special instrument, or knife is not, because a knife is made to cut, not to separate, right? And C for immediate use. So we're on this section C. So we give a definition what the immediate use. And first we said just to remind amount of time. And we said the amount of time, just to review a little, right? Amount of time that constitute immediate use, meaning as much time as you need to prepare the whole kiddush, right? The whole meal, the whole meal, whatever you're going to have. So if it's 15 minutes, that's all you need. You need to peel a few cucumbers. Okay, there is no problem. So that's what you need, 15 minutes. Okay. So 15 minutes, it's for immediate use. But if you have 15, 20, 60 people coming to your house, let's say, so you need 2 hours to prepare. It's a lot of food, a lot of people, a lot of preparation. So 2 hours, 2.5 hours, it's also considered to be immediate use. and we said, and we said that you can do this sorting. Meaning, for example, peeling these cucumbers at the beginning of your preparation. You're not obligated to leave it on a very last second, even though other preparations do not involve any melacha. So since all this time is allowed, so you can do any time, whatever is convenient to you, at whatever time convenient to you. Continue. So number 2, we said 2 people preparing the meal. So 2 people preparing the meal. Let's say they need 1 hour. To prepare the meal. I mean, if one person, let's say one person needs 1 hour to prepare the meal, so they can split 1 hour. So first person works for half an hour, then the second person takes over, works for another second half of that hour. There is no problem. They can combine, and the first person can do all of these things necessary for the meal. Second person can continue. And just because the first person stopped does not mean that that it's not right before the meal. It still applies. Okay. Okay. And the next one we said for another person or animal. So it's make different. Makes no difference you're doing for yourself or you're doing for someone else, or you have I don't know, maybe sick person to take care of, and you need to prepare food, or you have child, you have animals, so you can do all of these activities, no problem. So the last, right? The last we said that prior to actual usage, meaning just one second. So we said don't do anything like in advance, even parts, right? So example that we use. So a person would peel onions, right? Sometime in advance, right? But in order to make it XL, okay, right? So peeling onions, I don't know, like in the morning, or I don't know how many hours before, because he had to use half of onion for Friday night, half an onion in the morning, so it would be a problem. So you have to do everything like in the right time. And we said that, of course, there is problem with with mixing this egg salad, tuna salad. So as we said last time, it's very, very preferable to do everything before Shabbat starts. Open all of the jars, all of the containers, all of the food packaging have to be removed. All of this wine must be opened, of course, right? Why? Because there are many problems with wine, right? If you have a cork, let's say a cork in a bottle of wine, so if there are writings on top of this cork, so you're not allowed to remove it. So in most of the kosher wines, there is no stamp like on top, I think. But sometimes your cork removal, it's not going straight, but a little to the side. It's always writing on the side, and you can damage the writings. And it's actually the separate melach, right? And plus, removing this plastic is also an issue. And sometimes there is writing on the plastic. So don't put yourself basically in this situation. Plus, all of the other, even plastic, seal plastic must be cut open, well, before the Friday. Otherwise, it's a problem. Okay, of course, there are permissible ways to do that, and we're going to learn about them. This is HaShem. But preferable not to play with it on Shabbos. Okay, that's all we said. Like, I mean, in very, very brief summary. Okay, so number 5, an item that takes long time to prepare. Many poskim permit selecting an item from the mixture even a long time before it will be used, provided that this amount of time is required for preparing that particular food. For example, removing a frozen item from the freezer even 5 hours before the meal, where it will be served, is permitted if it is the amount of time needed to defrost it. So, for example, it's I think it's very good example, right? You have some ready food, prepared food, but it was frozen. So basically, everything you need just to defrost it, right? You don't need to warm it up, of course. I mean, just defrost it, leave it on the counter by itself for how many hours it needs to stay on the counter, and that's it. It's ready, right? So in this case, so for example, even overnight, I don't know what would take overnight. Maybe you had the stew, you had stew is not a good example. I don't know, whatever you had from last time, so you froze it, and now you can just defroze it and eat it, no problem. So any amount of time is needed to defroze it is good. Continue. However, care must be taken not to remove the item earlier than that time. For example, many times people remove frozen items from the freezer on Friday night before they go to sleep, so that it should be defrosted overnight. Generally speaking, item in the freezer constitute a mixture, right? And technically, the item does not need so many hours to defrost. Okay. The only reason the a person is removing the item Friday night before he goes to sleep, so that he should not have to get up early in the morning to remove the item. Therefore, removing the item on Friday night cannot be constituted for immediate use. So it's very important point that immediate use is immediate use. So if you need 5 hours, so why you defrost in like 12 hours, 10 hours in advance, right? So which is good point. So what I mean, maybe you can take it from refrigerator and freezer and put it into refrigerator and defrost it there. Maybe then 10 hours is would be enough, right? But on another hand, expect person to get up in 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning to take the item from a freezer. It's also not very reasonable. So I would say just put it in the refrigerator, and it's going to defrost it slower, much slower than on a countertop, and 10 hours would be just perfect. However, for example, if for example only halas, so the problem, what is the problem? They say the problem in the freezer that it is mixture. We're going to see not every time is a mixture. If your food is staying on a separate shelf, right, or on the door of the freezer, there is no mixture, right? So by you removing there is no problem whatsoever. So it depends on circumstance. But if it's smaller items, it's they one on top of the other, and for example you left it on the bottom and you put all of the other food on top, it could be a problem, right? Because for example you put all of the frozen fish, right? So this fish fillet is going to be muktzeh 100%. So you're not allowed to move it. So basically, don't create yourself all of the headaches. Prepare everything you need on Friday night. Friday, have a plan, write down things, and do everything that needed before the candlelight. Okay, so one more time. However, if for example only halas or in different sizes, but all are made from the same type of flour, and all either egg halas or water challah, right? There are on one shelf, on the freezer, they are not constitute a mixture, and desired challah may be removed from the freezer on Friday night for the morning, right? If that more convenient. So what they're saying, as we said before, what constitutes a mixture? We said the size, usually not always, as we said, there is exceptions. Exception is a matzah, right? The matzah is the complete sheets, and or like broken matzah, like matzah meal, right? I mean, maybe you not maybe you say that the same blessing, but they serve totally separate purposes, right? This full sheet of matzah you can use for lechem mishnah as two breads, right? For example, second bread. But this matzah meal you cannot use. But for all other things, size does not matter. You have bigger challah, you have smaller challah. I mean, if it's from the same type, if they say egg challah, they're all one type, and water challah is different type. So it's different taste, different structure, different everything basically. So in this case, as they say, it would be a mixture, but otherwise, size does not matter. So as I say, so since there is no mixture, so you can take it anytime you want, basically. That's the thing, anytime you want. Okay, continue. Likewise, it is permitted to prepare a salad. There is a peel vegetables, and have the vegetables soak in a liquid to absorb the taste of the dressing for the amount of time the salad need to absorb the taste. So that's, I think it's perfect example, right? So some salad is good, not it's when it's just made, right? But when it's absorbed some of this dressing or oil, what else? I mean, I don't know. I'm practically not sure how long does it take. Like maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour. Right. So it should stay with like mixed with this dressing. Okay. So in this case, it would be also for a constructive purpose. right? And it's in order for preparation of the meal. No problem. Continue. Using a ploy. It's number 6. Right? It is permitted to select food item from the mixture, even if the person's intention is to use food item for a later use, as long as a small piece is eaten immediately. Very interesting. Moreover, if it is obvious from the person's action that his intention when selecting it for the later use, it is not permitted. For example, if person wants to select a few apples from the mixture for a later use, it is forbidden to do so, even though he eats a piece of the apple, each apple. Since this is, in this instance, it is obvious that his actions that he's eating from each fruit is a ploy to work around the prohibition of boreh. We do not consider this his eating from each fruit to be included in heter of separating for immediate use. It is, however, permitted to select different food item. Okay, so let's stop here before we continue. So basically, what they're saying here, there is a permission. Heter is a permission, a halakhic permission. It is permission to take something, to select, take we mean select something from the mixture if you're going to use something for right now. But if you had intention, that's what you like. All of this walk around. That's what you do. I mean, that's your trick. So you're not allowed to do it. So basically, everything depends on our intention, as in many things. So if the actions exactly the same, but if your intention is to trick the system, if you can say so, it's not allowed. But if you I don't know, if you want to eat, if you're really hungry and you want to eat like half an apple or quarter of apple right now, so and then you have to run, I don't know, somewhere else, and then you're going to come back. So there is no problem then. So you can select as many apples that you want, and you start eating today, right now, and you continue finishing later on. So there is no problem in this case. But if it's the only intention to select now, right, and you use the trick, of course, it's not going to work. So it's, as we understand, it's very thin line, and person need to understand clearly what he's doing and what his intention. And we learn over Pesach with somebody this Parsha Kedoshim. Many times in Parsha Kedoshim it says whatever statement, don't do this, don't do that, and I'm HaShem. I'm HaShem. And basically Rashi explained every time what I'm HaShem means. So in one of the first comments, he said, I'm HaShem, I know what is in your heart. What are you talking about? Why are you doing this? I know exactly. So many other people would not know. You can tell them, oh, I didn't know, you gave him bad advice, and say, oh, I didn't know that it's not good for you, this for you, that for you. But Hashem saw that that's what used your design, right? So don't play with intention. So meaning I intend to do this, and just do whatever you intended. It is, however, permitted to select different food items from the mixture if the small piece is eaten from each food item. In this case, it is not recognizable that the selecting is not done for immediate use, right? Since he desires to eat such a fruit individually. So here, in this last example, the person did not have any intention, nothing, right? But he just selects, like, let's say, an apple and a pear and banana, and right, and he ate a little piece of each of them and left the rest for later on. Okay, so it would be no problem. So because he did not have intention to leave it to do it for later, and you use this heter. Okay, that's explanation. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry. Okay. So number seven. Order to lend in order to lend an item. So what does it mean? Okay. It is permitted to select an item from the mixture in order to lend it to someone who will use it in a later time. This is permitted only if it is not possible to lend the item to the borrower for him to use immediately after he borrows it. There is no need to ask him when he plans to use it. So what would be the example? Maybe he came to borrow plates, like smaller plates. So I have all of them in one stock, mixed up, right? So I can take only whatever plates that he needs, even if they're in the middle, basically, right? Because that's what he needs. And I'm not obligated to ask him when he's going to use it. So if he's going to use it for immediate use, there is no problem. But even not, so don't ask him. So many times it's a good idea not to ask, right? Especially in these things about Kavanah. Okay. So number 8, to fulfill the mitzvah of honoring parents. It is forbidden to select an item from the mixture for one's parents' use if the item will not be used immediately. For example, if one is visiting his parents, it is forbidden to peel an orange that will be eaten later, even at the time later. Okay. So I'm not sure why he wants to do it now, but for whatever reason. Maybe they live in early and he wants to peel orange for his, let's say, elderly father, right? Possible. He wants to peel orange, but the father just started the meal. So he's going to get to this orange much later. So that would be a problem. Okay, so number 9. When a baby needs to be fed, it is forbidden for a woman to prepare for Shabbos meal with intention to feeding her baby after preparation, yet still before the meal. So as we said, all this time right before the meal is without any interruption, right? As we said, well, one of the examples, some smart ladies, at least they think they're smart, they prepare Kiddush at home and then they go to shul and socialize a little, right? So that's clearly not allowed. Feeding the baby cannot be included in a period of preparation since it has no direct connection with the meal. I mean, baby is not going to eat food, all the salads and all the meats and potatoes that we're going to eat, right? The baby is going to eat its own meal, right? So it's basically it's going to be in interruption between the preparation of the meal and the meal itself. However, if the baby needs feeding unexpectedly after the preparation was made, she may feed him before beginning the meal. So that's a different case. So basically, the proper way is to feed baby before the preparation, right? But sometimes baby wants to eat in the middle, so you feed it in the middle. No problem. Okay. Summary. Let me know actually if any questions. Okay. Summary. The proper permissible methods of selecting is to take food from waste by hand for immediate use. Right. So one more time. The proper permissible method of selecting the food from waste. Right. First condition: food from waste by hand. No special instruments, and for immediate use. So we just finished the section for immediate use, just to remind us. Food from waste. In any mixture, one must take the desirable object and leave the unwanted item behind. So as we said, this is a good example about grapes. So there are a few grapes are spoiled, not looking good. So you just take whatever grapes are good and leave the spoils behind. That's a proper way. Don't take these bad grapes and throw them away and leave the good one. Don't do that. Second one is by hand. A utensil may not be used to assist the selecting more efficiently. It is permissible, however, to use a utensil for convenience. So for convenience, as we said, okay, I want to get some soup, right? So how exactly? I'm not going to pour soup in my bowl with a hand, right? So I need some instrument, right? Some vessel to do that. But okay, it's not this vessel was not this ladle, let's say, was not designed to do for selection only. So if it's for selection, that's the problem. If you have one with holes, that's the issue, big issue. So that's interesting. For immediate use, selecting may be done only immediately before eating, or during the period of preparation, immediately prior to the meal. Okay, so one more time, selecting may be done only immediately before eating or during the period of preparation, immediately prior to the meal. Okay, so as we said, we spent some time explaining, right? So if it's not immediately before, so it's not allowed. So I love this small summary. It's like you're learning, and then they summarize in a few sentences, actually, all of the main ideas. So section number 5, circumstances in which one may take waste from food. So now it's, as we said the last time, so there is an exception. One of the exceptions, as we explained, is orange, right? There is no way for you to take good from bad, from waste. There is no way. So it's an exception. So you have to take waste. Or a cucumber. How can you peel cucumber, right? I mean, there's only one way. Okay, let's see. We have seen that that as a rule, one may not separate waste from food, but must directly select desired food. There are circumstances, however, in which waste may be separated from food. Waste separated from food. Okay, it should be noted that even in these circumstances, the other conditions mentioned above by hand and for immediate use still do apply. Okay. Just 1 second. Except in section D, so we're going to get since it has not considered boreh. Okay, so some exception, section D, it's not even boreh, it's not even mixture, right? So it's I mean, it looks like mixture, but it's not. That's what they meant, I guess. Okay, so let's start. A, normal way of eating. Although it is generally forbidden to remove the unwanted item, pisoles, from the unwanted item, ochel, peeling fruits and vegetables is permitted. So same with nuts, right? I mean, how can you get inside of the nut, right? There is only one way. Though one is removing the pisoles, the peel, from the ochel, there is the fruit itself. This is permitted because it is considered a normal and routine manner of eating process. Okay, so we're not inventing anything here. That's the only way to eat my orange is to peel the peel. That's it. However, and as mentioned above, the other conditions do apply. There is by hand and for immediate use. Just because I'm allowed to peel the orange and separate bad from good, right? Does not mean that I can do it like with any like special instrument, first of all, or not for immediate use. Okay. Similarly, when one may remove the spoiled outer leaves of the head of the lettuce to expose the fresh inner leaves. I'm not sure it's such a good example. I mean, it makes sense whatever he says, but there is a big problem with lettuce to wash from insects, right? And this insect is going to be separated bad from good also. I guess it is allowed, but you need a special light. It's not so easy. So I just recently found a few insects. And what was on a cauliflower? Found a few insects. Yes. Yes. Okay. One may peel garlic, right? Onions, apples, pears, oranges, grapefruits, cantaloupes, and any other fruit or vegetable that require peeling. So meaning that's the normal way of doing, and there is no other way. Additional example of the above halacha. Number one, unwrapping a sticky paper from an item. So this sticky paper is become, I mean, it's not part of the item, but on one hand, on another one, like it sticks, so it is attached to the item. So in some sense, even though it is inedible, so it's part of the item, right? So, but for example, you want a piece of candy, and let's say it's melted a little and gets stuck to this wrapper. So you would be allowed to remove this wrapper. Okay. Number two, cutting away the rotten part of the food item. Okay, so you have, but I would say here the permission would be a little different. So you have apple and you have a little like rotten part, so you can cut a little more. Usually that's what the people do. They cut a little more. So when you cut good with bad, it's not considered to be separation to begin with. Right, but we got the point. So you have to cut rotten part in order to eat good. For example, in another example would be in grapes. Right, sometimes only the end, the tip of the grape is rotten. So you can cut only the piece a little extra in there. So piece is good. You can eat it. So next example is number three, peeling eggs. So we said about peeling eggs, and with all of this rotten food and this food and eggshells and nutshells, we said there's problem with the muktzah to move it around. That's the issue. Number four, shelling nuts and nutcracker is permitted, is detailed on page 166. So we're going to get to it. So basically, on one hand, this nutcracker is a special implement, and we just said sometimes it's only by hand. But in this case, since some nuts are so hard, there is no other way for you to get to the inside. So that's basically by hand. That's the only way you can crack the nut. Okay. Number five, unwrapping salami, kishka, hard cheese, or any other tightly wrapped food. Even when they are already cut into slices. So it's very, very interesting. Let's say this salami part. I'm not sure. Usually, the right way is to cut this wrapper first and then slice it. But I guess they forgot to do that, right? So I mean, before you eat in this slice of salami, there's no other way for you to do it, right? You have to first remove this piece of wrapper and then eat it. Sorry. So B, when both items will be used in one meal. Okay. If one item in a mixture is desired immediately and the other later in the same meal, it is permissible to remove the item desired later and leave behind the one needed immediately. So it's very interesting. So it's not like you said that one item is a waste, meaning I don't want it completely. No, you said I want it, but not now. Right? I want it, but not now. So the example, I would give example. So you have a soup and you have a piece of chicken. So you want to eat this piece of chicken later with rice, let's say. right? Or you have a piece of meat in your soup. So you remove this piece of meat to eat it later. Is it good? It's excellent, right? But you don't want it right now. This is not considered separation of waste from food, because an item desired later in the same meal cannot be termed waste. Okay. So one more time, item desired because the item desired later in the same meal cannot be called waste. Exactly. So as we said with the piece of chicken. Understandably, if the unwanted item will not be used until later meal, so I mean 1 meal meaning Friday, and you want to eat it in the middle of the Friday night. So you cannot separate on Friday for Shabbos day. That's not allowed, right? It is in just 1 second, and understandably, if unwanted item will not be used until a later time, it is considered waste in the context of this meal and may not be moved. So very interesting halakhic definition. It's going to be waste for this meal. Waste meaning it's not good for this meal, but for the next meal it's going to be just perfect. So they say not allowed. But as we said before, the solution is you want to eat it tomorrow or the next day. Just eat whatever you want. You eat soup. Leave for this piece of chicken and eat it tomorrow. There is no problem. Okay, so here example. If one is served soup containing rice, one is permitted to remove rice from the soup if he will eat the rice during the meal for whatever reason. Okay. Similarly, when served a carrot pineapple mixture, one may remove the pineapple's bits to save them for a dessert. Okay, no problem. Continue, section C. When given to someone to eat immediately, it is permitted to remove food item one does not want to eat if he gives it immediately to a second person who will eat it in a shortly afterwards. It is true, even if the need to remove the food is more important for the person removing it than the recipient who is eating it. So let's try to read again and understand. I mean, they didn't give an example. So one more time. So I guess no. Let's read one more time and then we guess. It is permitted to remove food item one does not want to eat if he gives it immediately to a second person. So I say that maybe example would be, so you have a fish, right? And you take you feed a little child, right? And you take with your fork some fish, right? And you have some bones you see sticking out from this piece that you just got. So you can remove the bones. Second person who will and this second person you can remove immediately for a second person who will eat it shortly afterwards. Okay, so I think this example of the child would work. Or elderly person. This is true if the need to remove the food is more important to a person removing it than the person than to recipient who eating it. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe they're going to give example. So it is more important for a person who is doing the separation than the person who is going to eat it. They have to give example. Because in my example, I mean, it's to remove this bone from a fish. It's important for everybody, for a mother or a father, and for a baby. Okay. So continue. D. Along with some food. That's our example that we gave. It is permissible to remove waste from food if one removes more than the normal amount of food along with waste. So, for example, this spoiled grapes. So usually, if you cut exactly when it stops, when it's rotten stop, so give a little more, so it would be unusual. So it says, for example, one may remove watermelon pits by taking some melon along with the pit. So usually, usually you have to remove good from bad, right? But if you want to remove all of the pits before you start eating, so remove it with a little watermelon. Similar fish bones may be removed by taking a bit of fish with each bone. Okay, that's another issue. Not issue, but solution. But we always try to on Shabbos not to eat fish with bones, right? So that's a good idea. Like flounder that doesn't have bones. I mean, flounder fillet doesn't have bones. Or some salmon also fillet does not have bones. So continue. If a particle of dirt or an insect fall into drink, one may not remove the particle itself, but may scoop it out with a spoonful of liquid. So that's also a perfect example. So I have something fell. I don't know, you eating outside, right? Or I don't know, the insect fell on your cup, so you can remove a little insect with a cup or with a little liquid. That's it. You're good. This procedure is not act of barer at all, and therefore permitted even for the later use. Right. So I mean, because that's another solution that we should remember. So good with bad, good with bad. It's not barer. It's not sorted. However, the food and waste must be removed as a unit, separating only waste at first and following by taking some food. Afterwards, it's clear a violation of barer. So how can you do it if you already made melacha by separating bad, and then you just because you added a little good, it's not going to fly, of course. Just a second. Just a second. Finish. No, we're not going to finish. Oh, HaShem. So it's a very long chapter. E, from inside one's mouth. It is permissible to remove waste by separating it from food after the food is already in one's mouth. For example, when eating watermelon, after one places a piece in one's mouth, he may spit out the pits. Similar, spits out the pits. We actually learned in Kiruv last time. Don't be disgusting. So if it's disgusting for others, so it is actually forbidden food. So so I would say spit in a napkin, right? Or buy a seedless watermelon. That's it. Similarly, when eating fish that contain bones, one may pull the bones out of the fish. There is then that is in his mouth. If he fears that he will swallow the bone, he should follow the procedure outlined page 149. So we're going to see. So, so according to this permission, basically, if it's already in your mouth, so you can remove. So, for example, small chicken bones, right? So it's hard to remove. So you add it and you have it in your mouth, and you take a napkin, you remove this chicken bone. There is no problem. Or they say if fish bones. So fish bones, it's of course they can be dangerous. They can get stuck, and a person can choke. All these things, especially little children, elderly people. That's very, very, very dangerous business, right? So, okay. So what I would say, if person afraid, just remove bone right before the putting the fish into your mouth or into the baby's mouth. Okay, that's the thing. Continue. A moment before placing food in one's mouth. Okay. In case of necessity, and when no other solution is available, one is permitted to remove the unwanted item a moment before the food is placed in one's mouth. For example, if one is feeding fish containing bones to a young child or elderly person, and he is afraid, I mean, maybe the sensitivity of elderly person is not there, right? He's afraid that where that will swallow the bones, right? It is permitted to remove the bones from the fork a moment before placing the fish in a child's or elderly person's mouth. Okay, that's permission. It's the same, I guess, with you also. If you're afraid that you're going to swallow the bones, or there are just simply too many of them. So some fish have a lot of bones, right? Especially, I think, like a lot of fish, the predator fish, they have a lot of bones. Okay, so G, special leniency for attached mixtures. When food and waste are not actually mixed, but merely attached, not meat, but merely attached, there is a fat attached to meat, one further leniency applies. So fat attached to meat, and person does not want to eat fat, right? So what is the leniency? We have learned that this type of combination is considered mixed only to the point when the components touch. It's very interesting, right? When they touch, this fat and meat touch, they mix, and only in that thin point, right? Accordingly, one may remove part of the fat if he leaves intact a sliver of fat touching the meat, because this way one avoids separating mixture altogether. So you do it, I mean, one way or another way. So if you, of course, why would you waste meat? Just cut a little, just leave a little piece of fat behind on the meat, and that's it. No problem. So the point where it was mixed is still there. Very good. So next one, H. Special leniencies for piled mixtures or objects lying next to each other. For mixtures in which large items have been piled neatly together, for example, piled of different plates. So 1 second, sorry. Special leniency for piled mixtures, an object lying next to each other. So next to each other, I would say like some larger item. When they say like apples, they don't really mix with one another, right? Or piled meaning like plates, or a pile of what is it like towels. They have like bigger towels, smaller towels, hand towels. So let's see. For a mixture in which large items have been piled neatly together, for example, pile of different plates, or a mixture of the large items lying neatly in close proximity to each other, a further leniency applies. In these cases, one may remove the unwanted items from the top of the pile to remove the outer, or remove the outer item in order to reach to desired items, even if the wanted item will not be used immediately. However, this leniency applies only in the case of usable items. For example, 2 types of food, 2 types of books. Okay, let's finish reading and we're going to explain. But not when when unwanted items are actually waste. Commentary. Not actually no. Let's, before we go too fast, too far, let's try to understand what we're talking about. So about the plates, we understand, right? So even they're mixed. You have let's say you have 3 small plates then 3 big ones, then 3 small ones, then 3 large ones. And you need only the small ones. Let's say the only thing you need is 3 small ones. So you can remove this 3 on the top, because first of all, I would say there is the only way to get to the small ones is to remove the big ones, right? But since they are never mixed, I mean, they just piled one on top of the other. So they say they give us leniency, and plus, very interesting. So they not only give us leniency, they said it does not have to be for immediate use. Okay. So let's okay, that's was half of the paragraph. So let's read the second part of the paragraph. However, this leniency applies only in the case of the usable items, 2 types of foods, 2 types of books. Okay, so something usable. Okay, you can use smaller plates, or you can use larger plates. So you for whatever food you serve now, you need smaller plates. But technically, large plates would actually suffice. So if the only clean plates you have large ones, you would use a large one even for dessert, right? That's all you have. That's all you're going to use. Or they say 2 types of books. Okay, but not when unwanted items are actual waste, right? So commentary. The above leniency, the removing the unwanted items, applies only when its removal solely to obtain the wanted item beneath it, and not when the higher items are removed to be used for a later time. Let me read one more time. The above leniency there is removing unwanted items, meaning these plates, let's say in our case, applies only when removal solely to obtain wanted item beneath it. So I take off this big plates, 3 big plates on top. Why am I doing this? Only because I need these 3 smaller plates underneath them. Not when the higher plates are removed to be for a later time. So meaning I'm not sure why is that. Oh no, it's no, of course. So in some sense, this pile is still a mixture. So when you remove these 3 top plates, large plates, for later time, that's a problem. Because we said why? You can remove only for immediate use, and it's not for immediate use. Okay, continue. For example, one may remove unwanted soup bowls that are stacked on top of the dinner plates, even though the dinner plates will not be used immediately, since the bowls are unusable. So in this case, exactly as we described, right? So they have soup bowls on top, dinner plates underneath them. So he does not need these soup bowls. He needs only dinner plates. There is no problem. So you can remove, and then I guess even put it back. In the case of random mixture, however, it is forbidden to remove even a portion of the waste. So we didn't get to it, but we're going to talk about random mixture. That's a different story. Summary. One is permitted to remove waste from food in certain circumstances. Okay, they give us several scenarios. When this is normal way of eating, for example, peeling fruit. So we said there is no other way, you allow. B, when the waste will be used for later at the same meal. Right, as an example that they give, it's soup with rice, and he wants to eat rice later. Same meal, not the next meal. Same meal, no problem. C, when given them to someone else for immediate use. Okay, so we're feeding somebody, we're feeding a child with a fish, right? D, taking food with waste, right? Example, as we gave this insect in our cup, and we remove insect with a little of liquid. So I get this question many times. So people surprised, like somehow people think that this insect made this drink not kosher. It's still kosher, just so it's kosher. Many people have this question. I don't know why. So dirt does not make something not kosher. I mean, you don't need the insect. Insect is not kosher, but drink is. E, from inside one's mouth, right before eating. Right, so from inside of one's mouth. So we give example, maybe a small chicken bone, or that you did not notice. So okay, or you have this what is a watermelon pits, also can remove like from mouth, or right before eating, as we said, the person is afraid that he's going to choke on a fish bone, so you're allowed to remove it right before eating. F, next one, moment before eating in a case of necessity. Okay, that's actually okay. That's what we just explained. Okay, next one, G, with a touch mixture by leaving the sliver of waste and that actually touches the food. So we said when they are just attached, like meat is together with fat, so they only mix in double quotes, of course, in where they touch. So if you leave a little fat behind, there is no problem. Or if you want to do opposite, you can do opposite, so you can remove a little thin sliver of meat together with fat, also no problem. Continue, last one, H. With piled mixtures in order to reach the desired item underneath, and mixture lines side by side, right? Where all of the items are usable. Okay, so it's very important that all of the items are usable. So that's why we have this leniency. We give this plate, 3 plates on top, 3 in the bottom. So you need the ones on the bottom. You can remove the 3 on tops and take ones in the bottom. There is no problem. Okay, because they actually all usable. They're all good. This does not apply to random mixtures. Okay, so let me check. Oh, I think perfect time. So we got to the next section. Maybe another two or I get 2 or 3 classes, and we're going to get through it. It's very complicated and melacha, and as we said before, it applies all the time. There is no exception. There is no such a meal where this melacha would not apply. Sorting. Okay. Any questions on this subject? Any subject? Go ahead. Okay. If no questions, so I wish you a good night until tomorrow. B'ezrat Hashem. Tomorrow is Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Okay. Thank you very much. Good night.